Jai Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistai Bhutale Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachalini Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paskatya Disatarina. In order to get the blessings for this chapter of how to open the Krishna Conscious Center in the Western world, I want to first may offer a prayer to my Divine Goddess. Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Kukulatani Mandala Maiti Ayati Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Damodadadati Vadanavishi Harinishkuta Vindavipinishi Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Vishamanudari Navashashileke Lalita Shaki Gunaramita Vishake Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Karunam Kurumai Karunabhavite Shanaka Shanatana Vanita Charite Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Gokulatani Mandala Maiti Gokulatani Mandala Maiti Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Radhi Jaya Jaya Madhavadayati Hey Radhi 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 Srimati Radharani Ki Jai. Divine Goddess and all your Gopi assistants, you are worshipful deities. You have in Krishna consciousness the top level of consideration. So much that even Krishna himself is captured, enamored, controlled by your divine grace. And you, in the Imritala, embrace this Krishna, this black fellow, with your golden hue, and you turn him into Mahaprabhu, and make a plan that the whole world can be connected to him. This special hidden incarnation, manifestation of the divine couple, is the life and soul of what we are talking about. Establishing Ashraya centers. Ashraya means shelter giving. Ashraya Vigraha is represented through the Vaishnavas and their spiritual masters. So now let's touch the subject of spiritual community in the Western world, Krishna Conscious Center, and our relationship to the women, to our mothers. According to the Vedic concept, there are 7 mothers to honor. 7 mothers. This is a very wide array. 7 mothers. Mother Veda, which we read every day. We worship Mother Veda by reading the Holy Scriptures. That is Veda Mata. Gayatri is the mother of the Vedas. So we are worshipping the Divine Mother in the form of Veda. Then we worship the Divine Mother in the form of Gomata. Gomata, Bhumi, is Mother Earth. So Mother Earth takes the form of a cow. Dharma takes the form of a bull. Very important, these divine animals. So the Mother Cow, Bhumi Mata, Mother Earth, there are 2 more of the Divine Mothers to look after. Specifically, Mother Earth is something very important for us, because our Krishna Conscious Centers have to be environmental examples in cleanliness, avoiding plastic altogether, and many, many other things, which I won't go into the detail, but having farms cultivating Mother Earth without chemicals, very important. So the Mother Earth consciousness or the Mother Cow consciousness is very important in this regard. Mother Cow consciousness is another subject which is extensive, because we are supposed to consume milk products only from protected cows. Now, this is a separate subject. I won't get into it today, but fact is that the cow is protected by Krishna himself. Very sacred and very dear animal to the Lord. You see, the holy mothers, they're accompanying us in the holy Ganga, Mother Ganga, Gangava, holy waters, holy scriptures flowing, the water of Ganga flowing, purifying all the worlds, giving us the nutrition of life. Mother gives life, Ganga gives life. Without water there is no life. Without sun and without earth there's also no life. But all these combining together to be the life-giving strength, Shakti of the Supreme Lord. And then, of course, there's our own mother, which has given birth to this body, for this body, through her sacred organ. She has given birth to this fallen soul, so that I can become Krishna conscious and meet my spiritual master, and also, so I'm very indebted to my dear beloved mother. Also, there is the mother, or let's say the wife of the king is also considered mother. The wife of the spiritual master, if he has a wife, and the wife of a Brahmin, they're also considered mothers. And mothers are considered very sacred. Sometimes people misunderstand that Krishna consciousness is somewhat misogynous. Women towards women. There are some reasons for that, some historical situations or distortions or interpretations. Because the Vedas, they describe the good qualities of women and the bad qualities of women. They describe the good qualities of man and the bad qualities of man. But if you take out of context the description of a bad quality and you say that's what the Vedas say about women, then you get a distorted view. And of course, since the monastic Krishna conscious tradition in India was only monastic shelter for men, women were protected through the Vaishnava families. That changed also dramatically when Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada opened the Vishnu Priya ashrams or received women in his ashram. Of course, we have seen in the past that there are spiritual masters who are women, and quite a few. Srila Sridhar mentioned many. Outstandingly, Gangamata Goswamini, Himalata Thakurani, and Janamadevi herself. But there's mentioned many spiritual masters. So somehow other the women from their home could also be spiritual masters, or they also traveled. Obviously, they were given facilities where they went. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur already in his Yoga Pit, he had a space called Vishnu Priya Ashram facility for the Matajis. Especially today, when you go to the temple, you see the majority are women. Actually, that's a phenomenon in all the religions around the world. Apparently, the women are more enthusiastic for spiritual performance and for all the practices. Now, coming to the life in a Krishna conscious community in relationship with the ladies. Yes, they are our sacred mothers, so they should be given the proper respect and the proper space and the proper service which makes them happy. That is very important. If our Krishna conscious management doesn't reflect that, that's faulty. And of course, there's also the element that some young members, they want to get married. Then there's an appropriate approach for that. How to do that? Srila Prabhupada got his disciples married personally. Uncommon for an Indian sannyasi. But he knew that they needed the sacred blessings of his. And you see that families, when they are recently married or when they have children, they always come to the temple looking for blessings of the saints. They're always coming, oh, please touch the head of my little kid. Like that, they want to connect their child and their family with Krishna, and that should be facilitated. That's a very important element. Family is also Krishna conscious. As a matter of fact, the family can be a Namahata guide. Even a spiritual master can be a Grihastha, and with his family guiding others. So, yes, there's no inimical feelings towards the female members of the mission at all. Whoever has that, sometimes we see that brahmacharis, too much attachment leads to rejection. Oh, I have nothing to do with this. I've seen that many times in my own spiritual life, even to the point of people speaking wrongly in the classes by saying things which are not balanced and which are not representing the spirit of Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, I'm mentioning this subject. This is important. Because when you preach and you open a set of Krishna consciousness, many women will come and they want to do service, they want to do everything. They want to be preachers, they want to worship the deities and all that. Yes, in some Indian temples, only men are on the altar. But in every home in India, all the deities are practically worshipped by women because they are there at home, and many houses of devotees, they all have deities. So it is just a culture thing that like it wasn't looked upon good to have men and women simultaneously in the altar. I also think that's a bad idea. I think that either the woman should be in the altar or the man should be in the altar, and then there's no agitation of any kind in front of the deity. So this type of thing. So sometimes you may see that in a Vedic culture, okay, the main pujaris, they were male in big temples, but that's all. Now, Srila Prabhupada didn't pose any restriction, and our top book of etiquette, Hari Bhakti Vilas, says a Vaishnava woman can worship the Shalagram Shila without any problem. So actually we have to understand that Vaishnavi, a woman which is a devotee of Krishna, is a very, women in general are sacred mothers, but Vaishnavi is more than sacred. She is like a holy, holy mother, and that is the way they should be, they should feel. Of course, everybody has to become humble, and the scriptures sometimes say things where women feel a little bit put down, but then there's also scripture quotes that go exactly the opposite way. So, I'm the intelligence of the women, says Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Well, that means something, no? Of all bodies of water, I'm the ocean. And of intelligence, I'm the intelligence of the women. So Krishna is there, right there in our spiritual family. Now, when you have a women program, it is recommended that you get some women to take leadership. Because in the Atharva Veda, it is said, there's nobody more qualified than to direct spiritually for the women's section than an advanced women. Of course, it's also true that many women they look for a substitute to have a male element in their life, and they want to be with the male devotees, the preachers. That's there. That element is there, but for confidential instructions and so, it is always good to have advanced women looking after the woman. That is the most recommendable. Then everything will go smooth, and no unnecessary difficulties will arise. So therefore, we offer our obeisances to all the sisters, mothers, who are in this Krishna consciousness, and we deeply apologize for any offense or any mistake we have made towards them in the past. Without the blessings of our mothers, we will not be able to get Krishna. So it's very important, and they are the mothers of devotion. You see, we have Shraddha Devi, we have Gayatri Devi, we have Bhakti Devi. All the devotion is in the hand of the woman, you know. We better be very careful about that, no? What about Lakshmi Devi? She also has the opulence, so whoever makes the woman cry, there will be no opulence in his home. Says then Lakshmi Devi, Mahalakshmi. And then of course, there's also the Durga aspect, the Kali aspect of the feminine divine, where if she gets angry, oh, this is very dangerous. She can take you prisoner in this material world. Durga means prison. So whatever has to do with the feminine divine in Krishna consciousness, very high consideration. So therefore, I make this special recommendation for all those who want to offer shelter or have centers for Krishna consciousness, that they should keep this in mind. And don't think this is a boys' club and the ladies are not invited or something like that. No, that will not be Krishna conscious. That's why we have all these instructions from the Vedas. So if anything in India looks a bit different, then it is distorted. British influence, Muslim influence, whatever influence, but it's not reflecting what the scriptures teach us about the Divine Mothers. You see, the whole Mahabharata war came about by the illegal making Draupadi naked. That was it. That was the final offense, which was not going to be tolerated. So, in this sense, I also want to keep this very concise and clear, that our advice for all those who are preaching, who are trying to make Krishna Conscious Center, that keep the women happy by giving them lots of service responsibilities. Let them offer their talents to the Lord's service, just like the man should do and can do, and promote their spiritual leadership amongst themselves. And not only that, some spiritual women, they're even leading other men very enthusiastically in devotional service. So this is the important consideration for this topic. That is my prayer for all of you, to be successful in establishing centers for Krishna consciousness. Doesn't matter what kind of center, how big it is, but if the love is prevailed, if the justice is prevailed, if the mercy is prevailed, is maintained, then you will get the grace of Srimati Radharani, and only by her grace your place can turn into an Ashraya Dham, Ashraya manifestation, where people can take really shelter and practice spiritual life really, men and women. You have to learn, or you have to try to accommodate that. I personally, in most of the temples, ended up opening a Vishnu Priya ashram parallel to the temple, but they would worship together, they would do many things together. Only sometimes the women ashram became so strong and so powerful also in a special location that they have their entire temple. Lady-led temple, man-led temple, but always the connection is there. And then also we did something which is, for our spiritual community, we had a spiritual marriage advising team, where there were some elder devotees who were actually looking how to help those who want to get married to find an appropriate partner. That is, in the Vedic times, the parents do this mainly, and they have some assistance. But nowadays, the parents are not so much involved. They don't know much about that. So in our temples, we had some counseling and some people who could try to make positive, beautiful matches for expanding Krishna consciousness. I mean, this conscious marriage department, which I promote, is especially for those who want to open centers in Krishna consciousness, for Krishna consciousness, because if people want to get married just to forget about the daily intense practice, just to get into money, family and all that, yes, we also wish them well, because it's for many people something they have to do, but we are especially concerned with those who, after practicing brahmacharya life for a long time and brahmacharini, now they want to put this into practice and open a spiritual center for Shri Guru and Gauranga. So for them we should make sure they find an appropriate partner who's ready to do this with them. So for that, a little bit of talking and coming to common understanding before is required. And then they can get married and be very successful. New expansions of Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you will be very successful to accommodate the Divine Mothers when they come to your temple.